I guess this technically would be part one of story time, and I'll just start off with how Ed and myself know each other. So essentially, Ed and myself know each other from my previous employment in San Diego back in 2016. And during the course of time that we worked together, which was about 9 months, he sexually harassed and assaulted me on multiple occasions. And like a lot of situations with individuals who are dealing with sexual violence or assault or harassment, it didn't start off as extreme, other than the fact that it was a lot of comments and inappropriate text messages. I am running out of time, so part two. Okay, so part two of story time. So in my previous video, I kind of stated that this kind of situation can start out as seemingly less extreme, and aka it's grooming. So essentially your abuser will start out as something or with actions that aren't as extreme, and then they build upon it to see how far they can go. And this is essentially what Ed was doing with me. He started out with, yes, things that were assaults and verbal harassment, but he didn't directly start out with extreme behavior such as groping or direct sexual assault. It was mostly sexual harassment verbally. Again, I am running out of time, so this will be part two, and then I'm going to post part three. Okay, so this is part three of however many it is that I'm going to post for story time. So essentially in my past video, I stated that Ed was using grooming tactics in order to control me or get what he wanted from me. So as time went on, essentially he began to grope me and touch me in places that obviously were inappropriate and would be considered sexual assault. In addition, he would make comments about my sexuality and my appearance and how much he wanted to have sexual interactions with me and other women with him together. When I stated that I obviously did not want to have these kind of interactions with him, he began to become more aggressive and dominating towards me. So I'm going to post a part four after this. Okay, so this is so part four of however many. So in my last video, I essentially stated that he became more aggressive or hostile towards me when I clearly stated that I had no interest in these type of or sexual interactions with him. Side note, this is very common for abusers to do. They threaten their victim into submission. So he would use these tactics of control over me in addition to using alcohol as a way to control me. And the night that I ended up in the hospital, I had had one glass of wine, and mid drinking that glass of wine, I had gotten up from the table to go to the restroom. And 30 minutes later, I don't remember what had happened aside from him kissing me. And the next morning, he had told me that I don't remember because he had had sex with me. Part five to come. All right, so this is part five of however many. So obviously sexual harassment is just very traumatic. In addition to sexual assault, it really messed me up. I had to go into intensive therapy, and with that, I confronted the company about what was going on. They essentially admitted that they knew what he was doing was wrong, but still did not fire him. So I hired a lawyer. We settled out of court. And yeah, I mean, it's just a great example of how survivors and victims do not receive the justice that they deserve when it comes to sexual assault. And I hope this kind of explains what went down. I, again, am not going to go into graphic detail because it's just traumatic. And if you have any questions, just DM me. I am happy to answer any questions.